Yeah, Paulie.
If you were betting, Dan, is there someone in this country with their actual name is Noah Fence, since we're talking gambling?
I'm going to say yes.
I have one in the entire country out of 350 million people. No offense. Let's just put it this way. He might be a Bills fan. There are over 200 people named Ben Dover.
Yeah.
As we've mentioned before, which is a horrible name to give. If your last name's Dover, don't name your kid Ben. Name Mike or Tim. And then there's 8 people named Gymnasium.
Okay.
James Nasium. I would go by James. Gymnasium.
I get it in Hollywood where you want to name your kid and you want them to stand alone. You want to name your child Apple or whatever, Mango or, Marv.
When you're naming your kid, the first thing I thought of is let's try to think of something that won't get our kid made fun of.
Yeah. Right. How will this play out on the playground in 3rd grade?
Yes. And I don't think parents thought of that. I don't think they think of that. At least growing up, there were some kids who got roughed up considerably.
I can tell you what, my friend Richard Sweat, his dad didn't think of it because he was Richard Sweat Sr. And he went Richard Sweat Jr. Like, you got to deal with it too.
Yeah.
It's like passing on a bad gene to your kid.
Yeah. Richard Sweat.
Yeah, you can't do that.
You can't.
That's cruel and unusual punishment. Yes, Paul.
There's got to be someone assigned to the hospital that doesn't let the people out until they fix that name. Aren't you supposed to fill it out before you leave the hospital?
Yes, you have to name your child before you leave.
I would volunteer to work at the local hospital and make sure.
So you'd be the ombudsman?
Yeah, the ombabiesman.
Okay.
And because Richard Sweat's not happening on my watch. I went to a grade school with a girl named April Showers.
Yeah.
I told you that.
Yeah.
Great girl, very likable, but she had to deal with, do you bring May flowers for the rest of her life?
Yeah.
I worked at a radio station, and the HR person's name was Crystal Glasscock.
Okay.
True story. Crystal Glasscock.
Okay.
Name her Jane.
Yeah. All right.
Take some of the heat off it.
I went to school with some kids. I can't even say their names on the air.
I know this. You told me this before. They're so out of hand.
I can't say it because then people say, "Did you hear what Dan Patrick said? I heard him use that word." There are names that that they got roughed up a little bit there. Yeah, Paul.
So if you live in Indianapolis and you decided, it's a big basketball community in Indianapolis, and you decided to name your son Gymnasium, okay, it's kind of cute. A lot of gymnasiums in Indianapolis. Here's one that bothers me even more.
Okay.
Let's say my last name was Daniels. Guess what I'm not naming my son?
Jack.
No, well, that's actually funny. I don't like when you name your kid Dan Daniels.
Because
that lack of creativity is it's troublesome. Like, you're in the hospital, you're with your wife. Like,
so you're okay with Jack Daniels?
Yeah, because there's a little funny to it. I'm not okay with it.
Could lead to alcoholism, though.
But if your last name is
binging, come on, Jack.
John Johnson, and your last name Johnson, you name your kid John. There's nothing else you could think of. Drives me crazy.
All right.
Back after this.
Yeah. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you for that.
We'll keep an eye on this story.
Thank you for that I-Team report. But, even when the Kardashians and Kanye were naming their kid, like Northwest, Saint West,
Psalms.
See, that doesn't bother as much. It's goofy, but it's not like Bend Over. Bend Over, a 3rd grader is going to light you up.
Northwest?
Actually, I kind of thought it was going to be Northwest. Like, I would have said, all right, Northwest, and then it turns out it's Northwest. Now, I wouldn't do that to my kids, but, yeah.
But, like, Paul, it would bother you more if they named their child, like, Wesley West. Then he was West.
West.
Right, that bothers me actually more.
West.
Okay.
The lack of creativity.
Yeah, Northwest is okay.
Yeah,
all right. It's okay.
You should not be allowed to name your own kids. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, wow.
Not so much like the people at the hospital are going to take charge of it and say.
Well, remember that story, and it's become, like a urban legend where a couple couldn't come up with a name, and they saw the no smoking sign, and they named their kid Nosmo King.
Yeah, last name was King.
I don't know if that's true.
I like the twins, Molly and Famali.
I never heard that.
Male and female.
I never heard that.
Molly and Famali. Might be urban legend.
Okay.
Might be true.
But Nosmo King. And then, then I run into somebody who says, oh, I swear to God, that's a true story. And I go, Nosmo King? No smoking?
It's kind of a baller name, Nosmo King.
Nosmo. All right. I like that.
My dad taught a kid once, and his name was spelled Ashole. Asahali.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Asahali.
But that's his last
I
name.
think that's no, that's his first name.
Oh, no.
But I think it's like a
No,
cultural
no.
thing.
Wait, did you see the basketball player the other night?
Ho, you fat?
Ho, you fat.
Yeah, he was on
Steve, ho, you fat?
Stevie, ho, you fat.
and it's ho you fat. It's not ho you fat. It's not like connected together.
I thought,
Steve, ho, you fat from 3. Good.
yeah. Who you calling ho, you fat?
Can
Well-
you put them together so it's ho you fat? You know, it flows better.
Well, didn't you have the 76er player, that FUK?
Oh, Furkan Korkmaz?
Furkan, yeah.
He's a great Furkan
Yeah.
player.
Furkan.
We got a Furkan draft him.
You're Furkan great.
Yeah.
Yes, Todd.
I love that name.
Thank you, Todd.
If you're ho you fat, do you put a comma after the ho? So you make the announcer's
Make
pause.
it even worse?
There's that bit though that Nicolas Cage did. Have you ever seen that on SNL? And he was a host. This is way back.
A host.
And he,
Host, you fat.
And he was like, they're going over. It's exactly what we're talking about. They're trying to name their child.
Yeah.
And every name that like his wife or partner brings up, he's like, oh, yeah, great, because everybody's going to call him like Jim, Duncan, Jim, or whatever. And he's got a problem with every name. And then there's a knock at the door. And they open the door. He's like, hi, I've got a package here for Mr. And I can't say the word. And he goes, it's As We Pay! It's the funniest bit. It's As We Pay!
Good times.
Not bleep wipe.
Yeah, right. I got a delivery here for Mr. Bleep Wipe. It's As We Pay!
I had a couple of people I went to school with. They started to change the pronunciation of their last name as they got older. They're like, oh, they're going with that pronunciation now. I don't blame them.